The most famous skeleton in Halloweentown grows tired of the fame and bumps into a little beloved holiday that changes his outlook on life. And that's why today in Flick Summary, The Nightmare Before Christmas. Our little story begins in the land of holidays, more specifically a little place filled with ghouls, monsters and all sorts of scary things. A little place called Halloweentown. These god-awful creatures go all out with festivities on October the 31st. They make sure whoever visits is completely petrified and the townspeople compete with one another to be scariest. However, only one Pumpkin King remains the forever favorite, the one who makes your skin crawl as you shiver with fear, the one and only Jack Skellington.
I'm the best.
The Halloweentowners put on quite a show to scare and spook in celebration of their very own holiday. Once finally done, Jack gets praised and admiration all around, something that he is not incredibly comfortable with, as he attempts to shoo away his celebrity life.
Ooh, Jack, you made wounds ooze and flesh crawl.
Thank you. Thank you.
To be more specific, poor Jack, the very soul of Halloween, has grown a little tired of the holiday and feels that it's getting more and more repetitive with each passing year.
Nice work, Bone Daddy.
Yeah, I guess so. Just like last year.
I do suppose preparing for Halloween all year round and always being the star of the show can be a little tiring, for sure. His immense talent wasn't overlooked by a ragdoll named Sally, the abominable creation of Dr. Finkelstein. The girl was absolutely enthralled by the skeleton and would even go as far as saying that she was in love with him.
She had a real bad crush on him.
Oh, babe, you had a crush on me. That's embarrassing.
Unfortunately for Sally, Dr. Finkelstein saw her as his property, given that he was the one that created her. This led him to become almost like a strict parent, wouldn't let her leave, wouldn't let her out of the house, and would even unstitch her sewn arm to keep her in place.
You're ruining my life!
A bit of a toxic relationship, wouldn't you say? Thankfully, Sally was a smart cookie and would constantly poison her creator, getting him to fall asleep as she sneaks out of the house, partakes in the town's activities, and of course tries to get closer to the boy that holds her heart, our very own Jack. Back to Jack, our sorrowful skeleton is aimlessly walking along the graveyard as he sings his misery away, trying to make sense of the life he didn't even ask for. Zero, his ghost dog, joins along as the two walk with no direction all throughout the night. The very next day, the town's mayor excitedly looks for Jack in order to make plans for the next Halloween. I mean, it's only 364 days away. Time is certainly running short. He drops by his place and knocks at his door, rings the bell and doesn't get an answer, sending him into a concerned frenzy as he begs Jack to open up.
Jack, please, I'm only an elected official here. I can't make decisions by myself.
Without wasting a single second, the mayor sounds the alarm and orders the entire town to look to the Pumpkin King, immediately worrying the rest of the town. As the townspeople desperately search for Jack, he has been led to an unknown side of the town. One that was filled with mysterious doors that could lead to treacherous findings. From an Easter egg to a turkey, the weirdly shaped doors lead to other unknown holidays. Of course, the one with the decorated Christmas tree was the one that caught Jack's attention, opening it with a glint of hesitation. Jack gets sucked into Christmas, and, well, as you can imagine, little old Jack felt as if he struck gold.
This is the happiest day of my life!
He curiously explores the entire town as he tries to make sense of everything around him. Nothing is scary, nothing is spooky, and there's warmth all around him despite the harsh cold.
But why?
He has marveled over the silly decorations, the snow, the stockings, the presents until he becomes familiar with the meaning of Christmas and the father of the holiday himself, Santa Claus. Once he is finally done with exploring what I'm guessing might be Christmastown, he returns to his homeland and is more than eager to explain to the other townspeople what he saw, hoping to turn their spooky Halloweentown into the warmth he felt over at Christmas. However, explaining what he saw to the people that only know spooks and shocks proved to be a little more difficult than what he initially thought. He attempts to explain everything he encountered with glee and curiosity, but the Halloweenians only retaliate with rather horrendous questions.
we pick up an oversized sock and hang it like this on the wall. Oh yes, does it still have a foot?
Let me see, let me look. Is it rotted and covered with gunk?
How lovely. Coming to terms that they won't understand unless they are giving terrifying metaphors, Jack turns the warm Christmas he knew into something a little closer to Halloween, which finally makes them interested, much to Jack's disappointment.
Well, at least they're excited, but they don't understand.
Back home, Jack tries to make sense of how Christmas works exactly, but he has no idea how to get to a conclusion. He decides to contact Dr. Finkelstein in hopes of getting him to run some experiments alongside with him, in order to have a better understanding of the holiday that has captured the skeleton's attention so much. Seeing that the mad scientist is otherwise occupied, Sally sees this as a perfect opportunity to escape his possessive claws. She decides to go flower picking in the graveyard and gets a few little presents for Jack to show her admiration. While he is focused on busy experimenting, Sally drops her presents off, but quickly runs away, much to Jack's confusion, which, same. All that and not even wait for a thank you? Boring.
You're just boring, that's all.
As Sally returns from her little escapade, she gets a premonition that Christmas might not be a very good idea after all, which obviously terrifies her. Later on, Jack finally understands that he doesn't have to understand and decides that they will take charge of Christmas this year and give the old man Santa a nice vacation for a change.
Don't do that.
He gets the Halloween creatures together once again and gives each of them a role to fill out to get the presents done as soon as possible. He even gets Dr. Finkelstein to create some flying reindeers so he can set out to his present deliveries as soon as possible. He then meets with Oogie Boogie's kids, kind of like the boogeyman, and tells them to, well, kidnap Santa Claus, but politely and nicely? Before they leave, Jack sharply orders them to keep the awful Oogie Boogie out of the entire ordeal. They agree with no hesitation, but they cross their fingers behind their back. How nice. Not too long after, the naughty kids then devise their plan to kidnap Mr. Claus, but accidentally return with the Easter Bunny, which Jack doesn't really appreciate. He profusely apologizes to the poor bunny and orders the kids to return him back to his land. We then cut back to Jack as Sally tries to tell him that she had a premonition and is scared that Christmas might actually be quite disastrous. Jack isn't having any of it and forces her to stitch a Santa suit just for him to recreate the character all the kids know and love. Right, cause seeing a skeleton climb down a chimney is not scary at all. Poor Sally must be like,
I'm not doing this because you commanded me to. I'm doing it because I feel sorry for you.
The entire town does their best to abide Jack's orders, as they create all sorts of presents, and Dr. Finkelstein gets to his reindeer, creating activities. Sally then gives Jack his Santa suit and tries to tell him again about the dangers that this Christmas withholds, but he doesn't care. Again, she tells him that this isn't like him, but he welcomes that as a compliment.
Oh.
Isn't that wonderful? It couldn't be more wonderful.
But you're the Pumpkin King.
Finally, the Oogie Boogie kids bring back the real Santa Claus and deliver him to Jack, who warmly welcomes into the spooky land of Halloweentown. He tells Santa that he will be taking care of Christmas this time around and asks him to look at his time away as an opportunity to have a little vacation.
Don't do that.
Unfortunately for poor lovable Santa, the naughty kids get him to the one person that Jack asked to keep away, Mr. Oogie Boogie himself. But we'll get back to this in a little bit. Christmas time was right around the corner, and Jack had everything set up to give kids the best holiday they had ever seen. However, Sally drops a pile of fake fog in hopes of canceling this whole misadventure Jack has set up for himself and make him incapacitated to see while he rides the reindeer. For a minute there, Jack truly thought that they were going to have to cancel Christmas. That is, until his eyes land on his dog, Zero, who sports a bright red nose that will serve to illuminate his way as he goes.
My, what a brilliant nose you have. The better to light my way.
Lucky Jack, unfortunate Sally. With a heart full of hope, Jack finally sets out to become Santa Claus for his one special occasion. Once he gets to Christmas Town, he, to say the least, was less than great about how he delivered presents. Oh, and the presents weren't all that great either.
And what did Santa bring you, honey?
Not too bad for a first-timer, maybe? Though his heart was definitely in the right place and all he ever wanted was to make the kids happy. The response was, well, absolute horror, to say the very least. The toys attack the kids, and the authorities decide to get involved and catch Santa's imposter. They bombard him, shoot at him, and well, Jack only thought that that's how they said thank you in this foreign little town. All the while, Sally has had enough and decides to rescue Santa back in Oogie Boogie's lair, but gets stuck along with him as the monster tortures Saint Nick and Sally all around.
I don't think I can stomach any more of this garbage.
Once again, we cut back to Jack as he gets bombarded and hit, leading the Halloweentown folks to believe that they have permanently lost the Pumpkin King as they mourn for him.
Life is pointless and nothing matters, and I'm always tired.
Jack rises from the dead, and while briefly disappointed for ruining Christmas for everyone, he then turns that frown upside down and celebrates doing something different for once, something that made him love the town that celebrates him every year. He comes back to his senses and realizes that he still needs to Santa to save Christmas. He hurries over to his town and hears Sally screaming, letting him know that she was trapped with a terrible monster, Oogie Boogie. Jack quickly heads down to save her and disrupts the fun the little monster was having. He defeats Oogie Boogie and rescues Sally and Santa, apologizing to both of them. Santa half-heartedly accepts the apology and does his best to save Christmas in the short span of time he has available. Immediately after, for some reason, snow starts falling over at Halloweentown as they celebrate Jack's return. As this is happening, Jack and Sally confess their love from one another as they make vows to spend the rest of eternity together, forever. Well, nothing like spooky Christmassy fun, right? And that's all for today. Tell us in the comments what you thought of this movie, and as always, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and share it with your friends. Merry Christmas, and see you next time.